Shattered dreams, the morning light filtered through the stained glass windows of St. Augustine's Chapel, casting rainbow prisms across Olivia Bennet's wedding gown. Her hands trembled slightly as her mother fastened the last pearl button at her back. "You look absolutely breathtaking," whispered Eleanor Bennet, her eyes misting with tears. "Thomas won't know what hit him," Olivia smiled, studying her reflection. The ivory dress with its delicate lace overlay had been her dream since childhood. Everything was perfect. The cascading bouquet of blush peonies and ivory roses, the string quartet playing softly in the chapel, the 150 guests awaiting the ceremony.
After dating.
Thomas Harrington for 6 years, today would mark the beginning of their forever. Her phone buzzed on the vanity. Probably her maid of honor with last-minute details. But when Olivia glanced at the screen, her stomach dropped. "Thomas, I can't do this." "I'm sorry." 3 seconds later, another message appeared. "Thomas, I never meant to hurt you. Please forgive me someday." The room spun. Olivia gripped the edge of the vanity, her knuckles whitening as her mother snatched the phone from her hand. "What is this?" Eleanor gasped, reading the messages. This has to be some kind of mistake. But it wasn't a mistake. As the minutes ticked by and panic spread through the bridal suite, the devastating truth became clear. Thomas had fled. His best man found his apartment empty, a hastily packed suitcase gone. No explanation beyond those 2 text messages at 3:17 p.m. Instead of walking down the aisle to Cannon and D, Olivia stood, trembling before her assembled guests, somehow finding the strength to say, "There will be no wedding today." The following weeks passed in a blur of humiliation and grief. Olivia took refuge in her small apartment, ignoring the pitying texts and calls from friends. Her job as an event coordinator at the Bellevue Hotel seemed cruelly ironic now. Planning other people's perfect celebrations while her own lay in ruins. "You need to get back out there," urged her friend Danielle over coffee, 6 weeks after the non-wedding. "The Harrington Financial Group's charity gala is tomorrow night. Come with me. It'll be good for you professionally." At his family's company, Olivia scoffed. "I can't." Thomas resigned and left town. "Nobody from his immediate family will be there," Danielle insisted. "Besides, you helped plan it before. ... Everything. You deserve to see your work realized." Reluctantly, Olivia agreed. The next evening, she slipped into a simple black dress, applied minimal makeup to disguise her still hollow cheeks, and forced herself to enter the glittering ballroom of the Grand Metropolitan Hotel. The event was flawless soft lighting, exquisite floral arrangements, a jazz quartet playing in the corner. For a moment, Olivia felt a flicker of professional pride. Then she overheard a whispered conversation near the champagne fountain. "That's her, the one who got left at the altar. Poor thing. I heard he ran off with his college girlfriend." Olivia's champagne glass nearly slipped from her fingers. College girlfriend? The room suddenly felt airless. As she turned to flee, she collided with a tall woman in a tailored burgundy suit, spilling champagne down the woman's silk blouse. "I'm so sorry," Olivia stammered, mortified. The woman didn't seem bothered. Instead, she studied Olivia with penetrating hazel eyes. "You're the event coordinator, aren't you, Olivia Bennet?" Olivia nodded, wondering how this stranger knew her name. "Josephine Winters," the woman said, extending a hand. "CEO of Winters Industries. This event is exquisite, particularly the sustainable sourcing of the floral arrangements. It's very impressive." Olivia blinked in surprise. Josephine Winters was legendary in the business world, a self-made billionaire known for her innovative tech companies and philanthropic work. "Thank you, Ms. Winters. If you'll excuse me, I was just leaving." "Running away, you mean, Josephine?" said quietly, from those gossiping vultures by the champagne. Olivia froze, feeling exposed. "I understand the impulse," Josephine continued. "But in my experience, it's better to rise above than retreat. Would you join me for a drink at my table instead? I have a business proposition that might interest you." Something in Josephine's direct gaze, not pity, but respect, made Olivia hesitate. Then, with a small nod, she followed Josephine. through the crowd, unaware that this encounter would completely transform the course of her shattered life. The unexpected mentor 3 days after the charity gala, Olivia found herself in the sleek, minimalist lobby of Winter's Tower, clutching her portfolio and wondering if she'd lost her mind. Josephine Winter's business proposition had been startlingly direct. She needed a new director of special projects, someone creative, detail-oriented, and unafraid of challenges. Someone exactly like Olivia. "But I organize parties, Miss Winters," Olivia had protested. "I know nothing about corporate project management. You orchestrate complex events requiring diplomacy, creativity, and precision under pressure," Josephine had countered. "And please, call me Joe." Now, as the elevator whisked Olivia to the 87th floor, doubt gnawed at her. Was this offer merely charity for the woman left at the altar? The thought made her stomach clench. Josephine's office was unexpected warm. Wooden floors, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, and walls lined with art from emerging artists. The woman herself sat not behind an imposing desk but in a corner seating area, reviewing documents. Olivia Josephine stood, offering a genuine smile. "I'm glad you came." The interview that followed wasn't what Olivia anticipated. Rather than drilling her about qualifications, Josephine asked about Olivia's perspectives on sustainability, her approach to problem-solving, and her vision for meaningful corporate events that transcended mere networking. "Most companies treat events as obligatory formalities," Josephine explained, pouring tea from an elegant cast-iron pot. "I see them as transformative opportunities, platforms for innovation and meaningful connection." As they talked, Olivia's nervousness melted away. Josephine listened intently to her ideas, challenging some and expanding on others. By the end of 2 hours, Olivia found herself sketching concepts for a series of community-focused launch events for Winters Industries' new sustainable technology division. "When can you start?" Josephine asked. Olivia hesitated. "I still don't understand why me. You could hire anyone with actual corporate experience." Josephine set down her teacup. "Experience can be acquired. Character cannot." Her eyes held Olivia's steadily. "I recognize resilience when I see it. 6 weeks ago, you endured public humiliation and private heartbreak. Yet here you are, professional and focused, pitching innovative ideas. That interests me far more than a resume full of corporate jargon." Something in Josephine's candor disarmed Olivia completely. 2 weeks' notice to the Bellevue, she heard herself say. The following months were a whirlwind of learning and transformation. Olivia's role extended far beyond event planning. She became Josephine's right hand in community initiatives, sustainability projects, and corporate partnerships. The work was demanding, often requiring late nights and early mornings. But Olivia found herself thriving under Josephine's mentorship. Josephine was unlike any boss Olivia had, known brilliant and exacting, but also surprisingly supportive. She pushed Olivia beyond her comfort zone while providing the resources and guidance to succeed. When Olivia faltered, Josephine offered neither coddling nor criticism, but thoughtful perspective. "Failure isn't fatal," she told Olivia after a particularly challenging presentation to the board. "It's feedback. Now, what did you learn?" Gradually, Olivia began to see herself through Josephine's eyes, capable, intelligent, valuable. Pitying glances from acquaintances faded as news of her impressive new position spread. Even her parents, initially skeptical about her career change, grew to respect her work with the formidable Ms. Winters. But it wasn't just professional growth that marked this period. Olivia found herself studying Josephine with increasing fascination. At 52, Josephine moved through the world with magnetic confidence. Her silver-streaked dark hair was usually twisted into an elegant knot, her wardrobe impeccably tailored but never flashy. In meetings, she commanded attention without raising her voice, her insights cutting through corporate posturing with laser precision. Beneath this polished exterior, Olivia gradually discovered layers to Josephine that few were privileged to see. The CEO kept a drawer of handwritten thank you notes from employees, whose children's medical treatments she had quietly funded. She remembered the names of maintenance staff and asked about their families. And sometimes, when working late, she would share glimpses of her journey, the sexism she'd faced in the tech industry, the failed marriage in her 30s, the hard one, wisdom of her successes and failures. "I've never had a mentor before," Olivia admitted one evening as they reviewed proposals in Josephine's home office, a warm book-lined space in her penthouse apartment. Josephine looked up, a small smile playing at her lips. "I've never had a protégé who challenged my thinking quite like you do." Something shifted in the air between them, a moment of recognition that their relationship had evolved beyond mere professional respect. Olivia felt her cheeks warm as Josephine held her gaze a beat longer than necessary before returning to the documents later that night, driving home. Olivia found herself replaying that moment, analyzing the flutter in her stomach when Josephine had smiled. It wasn't until she was falling asleep that a startling realization surfaced. For the first time in months, she had gone an entire day without thinking about Thomas once. Instead, her thoughts had been filled with hazel eyes, intelligent conversations, and the inexplicable warmth she felt in Josephine Winter's presence. "Transformation, Ms. Bennett is here to see you," announced the receptionist, and Olivia smiled at the formality. After 8 months working with Josephine, most staff knew they were on a first-name basis, but old habits persisted in the executive suite. "Send her in," came Josephine's voice through the intercom. Olivia smoothed her charcoal pencil skirt and straightened her shoulders before entering. The outfit, like most of her wardrobe now, was new. Gone were the safe, forgettable clothes she'd worn at the Bellevue. Her style had evolved to reflect her changing self, confident, polished, with unexpected touches that expressed her creativity. "The Tokyo team just confirmed," Olivia said, striding into the office. "They love the concept for the Sustainable Technology Summit." Josephine looked up from her computer, her face lighting with approval. The floating pavilion idea convinced them, apparently. Combining traditional Japanese architectural elements with our zero-emission technology was the winning formula. Olivia couldn't keep the pride from her voice. The concept had been entirely hers, a design that would showcase Winter's Industries' innovations while honoring Japanese aesthetic traditions. "I knew it would be," Josephine said, her eyes warm with something that made Olivia's heart skip. "You have an instinct for cultural nuance that's rare in this industry." The praise no longer made Olivia blush and stammer as it once had. She had earned this recognition through countless hours of research, creative problem-solving, and relentless refinement of her ideas. "The board has noticed," Josephine continued, rising from her desk to pour 2 cups of tea from her ever-present castern pot, "particularly your work on the African Clean Energy Initiative. Harrison actually asked if you had an engineering background." Olivia laughed. "The same Harrison who suggested I stick to planning the office holiday party when you first hired me?" "The very one." Josephine handed her a steaming cup. "People underestimate you at their peril, Olivia. It's one of your secret weapons." Their fingers brushed during the exchange, and Olivia felt that now familiar electricity between them. These moments had been occurring with increasing frequency, lingering glances, casual touches that felt anything but casual, conversations that seemed to carry dual meanings. Neither of them acknowledged it directly. Josephine maintained impeccable professional boundaries, and Olivia told herself that misinterpreting her mentor's actions could jeopardize everything she had worked to build. Yet the possibility hummed between them, undeniable as a current. That evening, Olivia attended her first high-profile charity auction as Winter's Industries representative. Clad in a midnight blue gown that complemented her auburn hair, she navigated the glittering crowd with newfound ease. Discussing renewable energy initiatives with senators and tech moguls alike, Olivia Bennett, a familiar voice, froze her mid-conversation, turned to find Thomas Harrington looking exactly as she remembered, handsome in his tailored suit, his golden boy charm evident in his easy smile. But something was different. She felt nothing. No racing heart, no flush of embarrassment, not even anger. "Thomas," she said evenly, excusing herself from her conversation partner. "I didn't expect to see you back in town." His eyes traveled over her, taking in the elegant gown, the confident posture, the clear gaze that met his without flinching. "You look different," he said, his brow furrowing slightly. "I am different," she replied simply. They spoke briefly stilted pleasantries about his return to his family's company, her new position. He hinted at regrets, suggesting drinks sometime to catch up properly. Olivia declined with polite finality. Later, she recounted the encounter to Josephine as they shared a late dinner in her office. "Takeout containers spread between design mock-ups. And you felt nothing?" Josephine asked, studying her intently. "Relief," Olivia said, surprising herself with the realization. "Relief that I've moved so far beyond that version of myself, the woman who thought Thomas Harrington was the best she could hope for." Josephine's expression softened. "I'm proud of you, Liv." The nickname never used before hung in the air between them. Olivia set down her chopsticks, gathering courage. "Joe," she began hesitantly, "I need to tell you something." Before she could continue, Josephine's phone chimed with an urgent message from the Singapore office. The moment slipped away, replaced by the immediate demands of business. That night, lying awake in her apartment far nicer than her previous one, in a building coincidentally owned by Winters Industries, Olivia confronted the truth she had been circling for months. She was falling in love with Josephine Winters, not with her wealth or power, but with her brilliant mind, her quiet integrity, her surprising vulnerability in rare, unguarded moments. It was terrifying. Josephine was her boss, her mentor, 20 years her senior, and showed no clear indication that she returned these feelings. Yet Olivia could no longer deny the transformation taking place within her, not just professionally, but in her heart. The Olivia who had wept in a wedding dress seemed like a stranger now. In her place stood a woman who knew her worth, who had rebuilt herself not for revenge, but for the simple joy of discovering who she could become when fear no longer limited her horizons. Whether Josephine ever returned her feelings or not, Olivia realized she was profoundly grateful for this metamorphosis. She had emerged from heartbreak, not just healed, but reborn. Hearts aligned. The Tokyo Sustainable Technology Summit was a triumph. International press praised the innovative floating pavilion, and new partnerships were secured with Asian tech giants. As architect of the event, Olivia found herself suddenly visible in ways she'd never experienced, quoted in industry publications, approached by competitors with job offers, invited to speak at conferences. "You've arrived," Josephine remarked one evening, tossing a technology magazine onto Olivia's desk. Olivia's photo appeared alongside a feature on rising stars in sustainable business. "Thanks to you," Olivia replied, still uncomfortable with her growing public profile. Josephine shook her head firmly. "No, because of you. I merely opened a door. You transformed the entire building." They had fallen into a comfortable rhythm over the past year, working late into evenings, sharing meals in Josephine's office or penthouse, their professional partnership deepening into genuine friendship. Yet the unspoken attraction between them remained just that, unspoken, though increasingly difficult to ignore. "The board has approved your proposal for the new community development division," Josephine said, settling onto the sofa in Olivia's office. "You'll have full directorial control, reporting directly to me." Olivia blinked in surprise. "That's significant promotion." "It's earned," Josephine said simply. Then, more hesitantly, "It also changes our reporting structure. You'd be a director-level executive, my peer, essentially." Something in Josephine's tone made Olivia look up sharply. Their eyes met, and the air between them seemed to vibrate with possibility. "Why does that matter?" Olivia asked softly, her heart pounding. Josephine set down her teacup, her usually steady hands betraying a slight tremor. "'Cause I've been extraordinarily careful about maintaining appropriate boundaries between us, Olivia. Perhaps too careful." Olivia's breath caught. "Joe, please let me finish," Josephine said, rising to pace near the window. "I'm 20 years your senior. I recruited you at a vulnerable time in your life. I've been your direct supervisor. The power imbalance made it impossible for me to ethically acknowledge my feelings for you, feelings that have grown despite my best efforts to maintain professional distance." Olivia stood, moving toward Josephine like a woman drawn by an invisible thread. "And now, Josephine turned, her composed facade slipping to reveal uncharacteristic uncertainty. Now I find myself hoping that this new arrangement might allow us to explore other possibilities. If you were interested, the careful wording, so typical of Josephine's measured approach, made Olivia smile. She closed the distance between them, taking Josephine's hands in hers. "I've been interested for longer than I've admitted even to myself," she confessed. "But I convinced myself you couldn't possibly feel the same way." "Why not?" Josephine's voice was barely above a whisper. "Because you're Josephine Winters," Olivia said with a small laugh. "Brilliant, accomplished, could have anyone you wanted." "And I'm extraordinary," Josephine interrupted, reaching up to touch Olivia's cheek. "Compassionate, insightful, and the only person who challenges me to be better, the only person who sees me, not the CEO or the billionaire." When they finally kissed, it felt like coming home to a place Olivia hadn't known she was searching for. Tender, yet electric, familiar, yet thrilling. Josephine's arms encircled her, the certainty that banished all doubt. Their relationship unfolded privately at first dinners, away from the public eye. Weekends at Josephine's secluded lake house, careful professionalism at the office. Olivia blossomed under Josephine's affection, which was as thoughtful and attentive as everything else she did. Josephine, in turn, revealed a playfulness and warmth that surprised even longtime colleagues. "I've never seen her smile so much," remarked Josephine's executive assistant after a board meeting. "Whatever project you're working on together, keep it up." When they finally decided to make their relationship public 6 months later, reactions varied from supportive to skeptical. Some whispered about opportunism or midlife crises. Others saw only the age gap or the remnants of their professional connection.
Oh.
"Does it bother you?" Olivia asked one night, as they lay tangled together in Josephine's bed, the city lights twinkling beyond the windows. "The talk?" Josephine traced patterns on Olivia's bare shoulder. "I stopped caring about other people's opinions of my personal life decades ago, but your reputation is built on my work, not my romantic choices." Josephine propped herself up on one elbow, her expression serious. "What about you? Your career is still ascending. Being linked to me brings scrutiny you might not want." Olivia considered this. 2 years ago, I thought my worth depended on others' approval. Being left at the altar shattered that illusion painfully but completely. She smiled, pressing a kiss to Josephine's palm. "Now I know better." Josephine's eyes softened. "I wish I could have spared you that pain." "I don't," Olivia said, with sudden certainty. "Without it, I might never have found my way to you." When Josephine proposed 3 months later, not with a grand gesture but during a quiet morning over coffee and the crossword puzzle, Olivia didn't hesitate. The journey from abandoned bride to confident woman, embracing an unexpected love story, felt like exactly the path she was always meant to travel. Full circle, the Botanical Gardens glass pavilion glowed with hundreds of tiny lights, transforming the space into an enchanted forest for the evening. Unlike Olivia's planned wedding 2 years earlier, this celebration was intimately 80 guests, each one personally significant to the brides. "Nervous?" asked Danielle, adjusting the delicate floral crown nestled in Olivia's auburn waves. Olivia smiled, smoothing the silk of her champagne-colored gown. Unlike the traditional white confection from her previous almost wedding, this dress was elegantly simple, with clean lines that complemented her figure. "Not even slightly," she replied truthfully. "It feels like the most natural thing in the world." Across the garden, in a separate preparation area, Josephine was likely saying the same thing to her brother Richard, her only family member still living. At 54, she had told Olivia she'd never expected to marry, having long ago accepted her solitary path as the price of her ambition. Finding love with Olivia had been her life's most wonderful surprise. The ceremony itself was brief but deeply moving. The brides walked toward each other from opposite sides of the garden, meeting in the center beneath an arch of winter roses and greenery. Josephine wore a tailored ivory suit with a subtle shimmer, her silver-streaked hair arranged in an elegant updo, adorned with the same delicate flowers as Olivia's crown. When they joined hands, Olivia felt the same certainty that had guided her. Since accepting Josephine's proposal, this woman was her true north. her partner in every sense that mattered. Their vows, written privately and revealed only in this moment, echoed with similar themes of unexpected joy and grateful hearts. Josephine's voice remained steady, but her eyes shimmered with uncharacteristic tears as she promised to cherish Olivia's brilliant spirit for all their days. "You found me when I wasn't looking," Olivia said in her vows, "and showed me that real love doesn't diminish who you are. It expands what you thought possible." As they sealed their union with a kiss, applause and cheers erupted from their assembled loved ones. Olivia felt weightless with happiness, anchored only by Josephine's hand in hers. The reception that followed was in full swing, dinner served. Toasts delivered. First dance completed, when Olivia noticed a late arrival hovering uncertainly near the entrance. Thomas Harrington, looking slightly out of place in a tuxedo that no longer seemed to fit him quite right. Josephine followed her gaze, her arm tightening slightly around Olivia's waist. "Did you invite him?" "No," Olivia said, surprised. "Did you?" Josephine's slight smile was answer enough. "I thought you might want closure, or perhaps to show him exactly what he lost." Olivia turned to her wife, shaking her head in wonder. "I don't need either. I've had closure for a long time." "Then, shall I have security escort him out?" Olivia considered the man who had once been the center of her world now just a figure from her past, meaningful only as a turning point that led her here. "No," she decided. "Let's say hello." They crossed the room together, turning heads as they moved. They made a striking couple, Josephine's elegant poise complementing Olivia's warm vibrancy. And the love between them was palpable even to strangers. Thomas straightened as they approached, its expression a complex mixture of emotions. "Congratulations," he said, his voice slightly strained. "You both look beautiful." "Thank you for coming, Thomas," Olivia said with genuine composure, though I don't recall sending an invitation. He had the grace to look embarrassed. "I heard about it from mutual friends. I hope it's not inappropriate, but I wanted to see that you're happy." Josephine's arm remained protectively around Olivia's waist, but her expression was more curious than hostile. "Ah!" "And what do you see?" she asked. Thomas looked between them, something like wistfulness crossing his features. Leaving was the best thing I ever did for Olivia," he said with surprising honesty. "Not that I knew it at the time." Olivia felt Josephine's silent support as she replied, "It was the best thing for both of us, Thomas. I hope you find what you're looking for." 2. They spoke briefly about his return to his family's company, his recent move back to the city. There was no anger in the conversation, no lingering resentment, just the gentle acknowledgement of paths that had diverged irreversibly. As Thomas excused himself to leave, Josephine turned to Olivia with a questioning look. "Regrets?" Olivia shook her head, watching her past walk away while her present and future stood, solid beside her. "Only gratitude," she said truthfully, "for everything that led me here." Later, as they swayed together on the dance floor, Olivia rested her head against Josephine's shoulder, inhaling the familiar scent of her perfume. "Do you believe in fate?" she asked suddenly. Josephine considered the question with her usual thoughtfulness. "I believe in recognizing opportunity when it appears," she said finally, "and in having the courage to reshape disappointment into something beautiful." Olivia smiled, thinking of the broken-hearted woman in a wedding dress 2 years ago, unable to imagine the joy that awaited her. "I was so afraid of being left," she murmured. "I never considered I might be set free instead." Josephine's arms tightened around her. "Not free of commitment," she clarified, her voice tender.
"Oh.
The right one." As midnight approached and they prepared to depart for their honeymoon, a month-long journey to hidden corners of the world where neither of them had been, Olivia looked around at the celebration they had created together. So different from the traditional wedding she had once planned, yet infinitely more meaningful. "Ready?" Josephine asked, offering her hand. Olivia took it without hesitation, feeling the solid weight of her new ring, a unique design featuring intertwined bands of platinum and rose gold that Josephine had commissioned from an emerging artist they had supported through the Community Development Division. "For everything," Olivia replied, stepping confidently toward their future together, as their car pulled away amid a shower of sustainable flower petals. Livia reflected that sometimes the most beautiful journeys begin with a heartbreak. As an ending, but as the first necessary step toward a greater love than one could have ever imagined.